Hello friends, good evening. Welcome to PDF for Exams YouTube channel, day 37, and we will study pollution and mitigation efforts in this video. What is pollution? We know very well, and mitigation efforts means the way to reduce the pollution. In this video, we will be discussing about the types of pollution, the causes of pollution, the effects of pollution, and how to mitigate them. Okay, so let's start the video and see what are the points that we'll study. So as I said, in this video, we will be learning about pollution and its mitigation efforts. So what is pollution? So pollution is simply defined as addition of undesirable material into environment as a result of human activity. So environment, what is environment? We have already seen, we have already learned in previous video. Environment is something in which all the abiotic components are there, they interact with each other and they form, or in simple words, surrounding is called as environment. So anything and everything surrounding you would be called your environment. Whereas naturally occurring substances, if we consider or if we want to know environment in natural way, because to some people environment simply means everything present in nature, like animals, humans, plants, trees, forest, everything is environment. As I said, whatever is present or surrounding an object, as we study everything with a reference to an object. So over here a reference might be an animal, a reference might be an individual or a forest or a plant. It can be a number of reference, and everything surrounding that reference would be called its environment. Fine. So if any unwanted material is added into environment, naturally occurring, it won't affect or it won't have any problem. All the food web, food chain, all the functioning of the environment would be very well until and unless some human activity intervene and some kind of unwanted material, or you can say undesirable material, are emitted or entered or get added to these environment. That will call as pollution. Fine. And the agent which cause pollution are called as pollutants. So what are these pollutants? As I said, there are few undesirable material which enters into environment causing pollution. So these undesirable materials would be called as pollutant, and these pollutant may be physical, chemical or biological substance. It's not necessary that it would be only physical or chemical or biological, it can be any of these. Fine. Now we will study the classification of pollutants, that means on how many types the pollutants are classified. So there are several parameters on which all these pollutants are classified. So the first parameter on which pollutants are classified is the form in which they persist or exist into the environment. So the first is primary pollutant and second is secondary pollutant. Primary word, wherever this primary words comes in geography also we have studied in human geography, primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. In primary sector we saw that everything or exploitation of all the natural resources in raw form was called as primary sector. So over here the pollutants which naturally occur in environment would be called as primary pollutant. And what are those kind of pollutants? So like carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur oxide, DDT. So these are the primary pollutants which are naturally occurring in the environment. Next is secondary pollutants. So these pollutants naturally do not occur or they are not present in raw form, but whenever these primary pollutants enter into the environment due to some chemical reaction or some kind of physical reaction, whatever kind of reaction may be, they form secondary kind of pollutant. Like nitrogen oxide, hydrocarbons react photochemically to produce peroxyl nitrates, and ozone is also formed. How ozone is formed? There are three molecules of oxygen. Due to reaction, oxygen reacts with ultraviolet rays and forms ozone. Okay, so these are the classification of pollutants on the basis of in the form which they exist. Now let's see the second classification of pollutants. So second classification or the second parameter is on the basis or according to nature of degradation. What is degradation? In food chain or food web we have studied, degradation simply means that breaking the heavier substances to as simple as possible. For example, if this is a huge object, if it is being decomposed, so this would be broken into very small fine particles or fine parts. So these are getting decomposed or are converted into very fine material, fine particles, so that they can be absorbed by nature and reutilized or reused by production of plants and animals and all. Fine. So this on the basis of the nature of degradation, pollutants are classified as biodegradable pollutants and non-biodegradable pollutants. So biodegradable pollutants would be the pollutants which can be biodegraded or which can be broken down into simpler harmless substance in nature. And how they will be broken? So they would be broken by the action of microorganism like bacteria. So these bacteria, the microorganism means the organism which are very small in size. These all I've already discussed. So when these microorganisms act on these biodegradable pollutant, they just break down them into simpler and harmless substances, and that would be called as biodegradable pollutant. So example is over here, like garbage, domestic waste, sewage, agriculture, urine, residue, paper, wood, cloth, cattle, dung, animal bone, leather, wool, vegetable stuff. Lots of examples are there for these biodegradable pollutants. Next is non-biodegradable pollutants. So this is just opposite of biodegradable. It won't be biodegraded, or it can't be broken down into smaller particles or smaller harmless particle by the action of microorganisms, and hence they are called as biodegradable pollutant. Examples are given over here: DDT, plastics. We know this very well. Plastics are being banned at many places, not banned, it's banned at many places so that it can't be used, because this is a non-biodegradable pollutant and this can cause lots of environmental pollution or effect on environment. Other examples are polythene, bags, insecticide, pesticide, mercury. We have studied in last video about the mercury, how it affects humans. Lead, arsenic. So these produce lots kind of diseases when they get or when they enter into the environment. Okay. The next classification is according to the existence nature. So this is being classified into two parts, that is quantitative pollutants and the other is qualitative pollutant. What is quantitative? Quantitative pollutants are the pollutants which are normally or naturally occurring in environment. And what and how does it means? It means that although these pollutants are already present in environment, for example carbon dioxide, this is already present in environment, but this become pollutant when the concentration of pollutant or this carbon dioxide increases in environment, then this would be called as quantitative. Quantitative means increase in number, you can say, so, or increase in concentration. In this case it would be concentration. So when the concentration or the amount of carbon dioxide increases in environment, then this become a pollutant. Similarly, there are other examples. What are there? It's not given over here. It's like methane, ethane. So whatever these gases are, like carbon dioxide, so these gases, whenever the concentration increases, they will act as quantitative pollutant. Next is qualitative. So these are just man-made, they are not naturally occurring, like insecticide, fungicides, herbicides, DDT, etc. Okay. Next is according to origin of pollutants. So again this is classified into two types: natural pollutants and anthropogenic pollutants. Similarly, as we have seen in last classification, so the natural pollutants are the pollutants which are emitted by nature process, like emission of carbon dioxide from humans and animals along with the vehicles. Next is anthropogenic. So these are pollutants caused by man-made activities. So over here the carbon dioxide or the other harmful gases which are being produced by industry and vehicles would come under anthropogenic pollutant. Now the next very important topic that we are going to discuss is pollution indicator species. That means there are certain species which can indicate that their environment or the area surrounding them is polluted or not. So the first species is lichen. What are these lichens? So lichens are very microorganisms. They are small bacteria, you can say. They grow on the rocks or tree bark. If you remember, we have studied the growth of plant in starting from some area like rock area. So lichens were the first, or you can say the initial type of plant which can grow even on rocks or tree, and they help in the process of soil formation. We have studied this. So those were the lichens. So these lichens, they do not, or they are not able to grow when these sulfur dioxide get dissolved into the air and fall down in the form of rainfall on these rocks and tree bark. So absence of this lichen can tell you that that area is affected with air pollution. Next is indicator of water pollution. So how this water pollution can be indicated? So water pollution and how actually this is caused. So this is caused by the discharge of harmful substances into river, lakes and seas. Okay, so there are certain aquatic animals like fish and aquatic plants are also there in seas. So when these pollutants are discharged into water, the life or the survival of these kind of aquatic animals or plants become difficult, and if they extinct or there is death rate increases, So that would indicate that the water is polluted. Next is fish survival and water oxygen. So as we know, all the fish or the animal or aquatic life depend upon the oxygen. So if there is a reduction in quantity of oxygen, dissolved oxygen actually, and those so aquatic animals won't be able to survive, that condition would also lead to indication of water pollution. Now we'll start with the kind of pollution. The very first type that we are going to learn is air pollution. So air pollution is very common. This is always in news. If you study newspaper or if you read newspaper, you can see there is always air pollution news. Why? Because sometimes Delhi is the capital of country. It is the most polluted city. Most often this is in news. Why it is most polluted city in the India, or you can say even in world, it has very high rank in case of polluted cities because of the presence of particulate matter 10 and particulate matter 2.5. What are these particulate matter? I'll tell you later, but right now we need to know about the air pollution. So any unwanted material which are being discharged into the air, that will lead to air pollution, like the gases which are being released from industries, carbon dioxide of course, which are being released from vehicles, and when the concentration increases, that would also lead to air pollution. And there are several bodies made for prevention of this air pollution, like Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. So these are act. Next is Environment Protection Act 1985, and this also prescribes the mechanism of authority from handling the issue. That means how the issues would be handled are determined by these acts and regulations. Okay, and there are certain cities like Delhi and all. These cities have pollutant level more than 3 to 4 times of normal. So there is some specification given, like in a city, in a metro city, this certain amount of pollutant can be present, so that would be considered as normal. Whereas in outer area, cities, if certain amount of pollutant are present, that would be considered as normal. But the pollutant which are present in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, so that is 3 to 4 times more than the normal prescribed pollutant. Fine. Now what are these particulate matters? So particulate matters are nothing but dust particles which are present in atmosphere or air, you can say. So the size of particulate matter, when it varies from 2.5 to 10 micrometer, then it would be called as PM10, or when it varies from 2.5 or below, that particulate matter would be called as PM2.5. okay, micrometer is unit. And next is the concentration of sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is also very poisonous gas, as we have seen in initially that lichens were the indicator of air pollution. So this sulfur dioxide can cause to extinction of these lichen, from not extinction actually, deteriorating or corrosion from the place wherever they are present. Fine. So this is about the air pollution. Next is indoor air pollution. So what is this indoor air pollution? So there is an quality index to measure indoor air pollution, that is indoor air quality index. So what is it means? By the name, it is very clear that the pollution or the pollutant which is present in air inside the room or surrounding the house, okay, that would be called as indoor air pollution. So there are very harmful effects due to this indoor air pollution. Not only due to indoor air pollution, all kind of air pollution has harmful effect. And recently there was smog was also in news. Smog was a tower which was smog tower actually. There was a smog tower which was built in many cities so that it can absorb the harmful gases which are present in air or atmosphere. Okay, so there are certain immediate effects as well as there are few effects which are not immediate. That means they might arise after some time. So let's see what are these immediate effects. So due to this internal air pollutant, the immediate effect would be throat headache, dizziness, fatigue, like immediate effect, and usually short term and treatable. Sometimes the treatment is simply eliminating. That means sometimes the treatment of these immediate effect can be simply available, and sometimes these immediate effect can last long and create heavy problem. Okay, so this is the immediate effect. Next is long term effect. So generally whatever kind of air pollution would be there, it would be of most oftenly cause respiratory issue. That means problem with lungs or the respiratory organs like throat, lungs, allergies. So these all things would be caused due to air pollution. So these can also lead to disease like cancer, and even heart disease also can be caused due to inner air pollutant. And there are certain cause of inner air pollution. That means how these pollutant cause or what are the sources of these air pollution? So first of all, the ventilations are very important in all houses. If ventilation are not properly made in houses, the concentration of indoor air pollution or problem might arise. Fine. So if ventilation would be proper, then the pollutant might move out from the house. Next is the pollutant sources. So there are several sources of pollutants like fuel burning, combustion, appliances, tobacco products, building materials, product for household cleaning and maintenance, central heating cooling system, excess moisture, outdoor like radon, pesticide, outdoor air pollution. So we have lots of sources for indoor air pollution, and especially there is one more source, that is asbestos. We have discussed in last video what is this asbestos. So these are just the insulating material which are used in paints and construction of houses. So these also leads to very harmful effects which are present in air. Okay. Next is initiatives on air pollution. So there are certain initiatives, many initiatives have been taken by government and few other bodies to reduce the air pollution all around the country, and even in at international level also. The first is National Ambient Air Quality Standard. So in this standard 12 pollutants are being mentioned, and that has been mentioned under Environmental Protection Act 1986, and 115 emission effluent standard for 104 different sector of industries. Beside it, 32 general standard for ambient air also have been notified. So few standards are being notified. As I said, up to certain level, if pollutants are present, they will not be counted under air pollution. But if the concentration of those pollutant increases up to beyond a certain limit, they would be considered as air pollution. Fine. And apart from this, a network of 691 manual operating station which covers 303 cities and towns, 29 states and 6 union territories of a country, and these are responsible for mitigating the air pollution. Okay. National Air Quality Index is also there, which was launched by Prime Minister on April 2015, starting with 14 cities and which would extend to 34 cities later on. So we have lots of mitigation efforts which are being developed by government, and there are many organizations, several section and acts have been made for air pollution. Like according to some IP section, if any industries are not following the certain rules and regulation of emitting the gas, so they might be fined. So similarly, in 2017, Harit Diwali and Swasth Diwali campaign was also launched. That means to reduce the burning crackers so that air pollution can be reduced. Slash and burn agriculture, which is being practiced in Haryana and Punjab. Not slash and burn, sorry, I'm wrong at the place. After the harvesting of crops, the remaining of the crops are burned, and due to this burning, lots of pollutants are emitted into air which cause heavy air pollution in nearby areas like Delhi, Gurgaon, not Gurgaon, it's now Gurugram, Noida. So all these areas are heavily affected due to burning of those remaining of crops. Okay. And lots of high level task force also has been headed by principal secretary. So lots of agencies are being made which are responsible for mitigating the air pollution. Next kind of pollution is water pollution. So there's a first fact over given over here, that India consists of 1/25 of world water resource, and the total utilizable water, that means the water which can be used, is 1086 cubic kilometer. Okay, so this is volume of water which is being given over here and can be utilized. What are the sources of water pollution? So there are certain sources like industries, sewage, human activities. These are general sources of water pollution. They are classified actually point source and non-point source. Point source simply means the pollutants belong to single source, all the pollutants coming from the same place, like emission from factories, as I said. Non-point source, that means the source is not single, many sources, n number of sources are there from which marine pollution or water pollution increases. The sources for water pollutions are many, like chemical fertilizers and pesticide, industrial waste, mining activities, marine dumping, accidental oil leakage. Oil leakage, there is oil mining are done from the coast of water, so oil leakage also cause water pollution. Burning of fossil fuels, radioactive waste, animal waste, construction activities. These activities also lead to water pollution because the waste which are being evacuated from these places are being dumped into the water. Next is leaking landfill, and apart from this, dumping of radioactive waves and other dumping wastes also cause water pollution. Okay, And now how this water pollution is being measured? So there are several concepts given over here, like biological oxygen demand. So these are the methods how water pollution can be measured. So let's check them one by one. What is this biological oxygen demand? So this is the amount of oxygen dissolved needed by bacteria in decomposition of the organic waste present in water would be called as biological oxygen demand. So there are certain waste material, that means biodegradable waste material present in water, which are being decomposed by organism, microorganism or bacteria you can say. So these bacteria need some oxygen function or to decompose those waste material, and the demand of oxygen by these bacteria are called as biological oxygen demand. Okay, if we talk about the definition, so it is measured in milligrams of oxygen per liter of water, and the higher the value of BOD indicates the dissolved oxygen content of water. That means if BOD requirement is high, it would have less dissolved oxygen, as these bacteria might consume oxygen from dissolved oxygen from the body itself. Okay, next is chemical demand, chemical oxygen demand. So this is the amount of oxygen in parts per million required to oxidize organic and oxidizable inorganic compounds into water sample. So it is much similar over here. Next is total organic compound. So its definition says that it's a total organic compound, it's total organic carbon and dissolved organic carbon which are essential component to carbon cycle. So the total amount of carbon which is present in water or present in organic carbon which are essential or important for carbon cycle would be called as total organic carbon. Okay, next is harmful effect of water pollution. So harmful effect of water pollution will be very high, very fatal, very risky, as water is very important natural resource for us. We need water. Without water there is no life, and because water is used for cooking as well as for making our food also, and sometimes people have fun in these water bodies like swimming and all, so these can be very dangerous for us. There is an data given over here. United States estimates that 4,000 children die every day. See, every day, the death is every day from drinking dirty water. So we should drink safe water, you can say purified form of water. What would be the purified form of water? So there are several methods how water can be treated and purified for you, like lots of aquifers are given, lots of water filters are there at your home. Sometimes you might purchase Bisleri water or packed water bottle to get pure form of water so that you don't get ill. Okay, other harmful other effect was oil and natural gas. As we know, oil are being extracted from oceans or seas, and due to this extraction sometimes accidents occur and oil gets splitted over the surface, and because of this there is problem to aquatic life, whatever the aquatic life is present in those area. Okay, one more important information is given over here, that world largest petroleum seep is the coal oil point seep off the coast of US state California. Okay, so over here most oftenly these oil spill occurs. Oil spill means overflow. The oil overflows on the area around that mining area, and because of that aquatic life is affected. Fine. And the other impacted are human activity also contribute to pollution, like human throw the waste, the chemicals also, they throw the chemicals from the industries, mining and drilling, buried chemical waste, sewage, major source of water, fertilizer, those fertilizer which are being used in agriculture, these are also major causes of water pollution as they lead to eutrophication. What is eutrophication? I'll let you know later. Next is rainwater. These washes pollutant into stream like lakes and oceans, and heat also can pollute water, and garbage and dumping of garbage and also can pollute water. The eutrophication, as I said, eutrophication means excess use of insecticide and pesticides. So when these insecticide and pesticides are being used in excess, the amount of these insecticide or pesticide which are not being consumed by plant, like lots of plants are there, so these insecticides and fertilizer, you can say, then fertilizers are fed so that there is proper growth in plant, whereas few fertilizers still remains on the ground and it gets accumulating, and whenever water falls, due to water falls, these accumulated fertilizer get carried away to water bodies like lakes, stream and oceans, you can say. So whenever they get carried away and get accumulated on surface of water, these block the sunlight, it consumes the algae start decomposing on them or start using and consumes the dissolved oxygen which is already present in the water body, and it heavily impact the aquatic life. Okay, now there are certain water treating measures like septic tank and sewage treatment. Septic tank might be, you might be aware of this, the waste material, the human excretion which are generally dumped into the home. Wherever the sewage system is not present, a hole is dig next to the toilet or washroom, and all kind of waste get collected over there, and later on the solid material and liquid material are separated. Next is industrial water treatment. So it has certain phase like primary, secondary and tertiary phase. In each phase different kind of particles are removed. Like in primary phase, solid particles and inorganic material are removed. In secondary phase, all organic particles and biological particles are removed. And tertiary phase, it is done so that water can be reused. In this, no solid waste, no organic waste are present. Ozone wastewater treatment. So this is generally present in our water filter which are there in our home. So this what it does, the generator, it converts oxygen into ozone by using ultraviolet radiation or by electric discharge field, and this in turn consume all the unwanted or material, the pollutant present in the water. Denitrification. So denitrification, we know nitrification means use of nitrogen by the plants or the leguminous plant. Denitrification means it can prevent the leaching of nitrate in soil. Okay, and in turn what it does, it stop any ground from water from being contaminated with nutrients. Next is marine pollution. So marine pollution is very much similar to the water pollution what we have studied. Everything is same over here. It is just that what pollution is higher level. So there are certain concepts over here. Let's read them one by one. What are the effects of pollution? So effects of pollution over here are the effects on marine life, ghost fishing, creation of dead zone, increase in algal bloom, acidification of oceans, and lead to loss of marine life. So let's get them one by one. One concept of algal bloom. Algal bloom means the increase or the rise in the amount of algae present on the surface of water, which in turn consume oxygen, and all the eutrophication is also a cause of algal bloom, which we have already discussed, and because of this the aquatic life is affected. Next is concept of ghost fishing. What is this ghost fishing? So ghost fishing means whenever there are fishermen, you can say, the fishermen, when they go for fishing and accidentally when they lose their net from their boats, these net go and get stuck somewhere at the bottom of the bed of the ocean, you can say, and that is being unattended. No one uses or no one checks that trap because it is being lost. So whenever fishes get trapped into these nets and it is being unchecked, so they die, and it affects the aquatic life very drastically. Next is concept of dead zone. So dead zone are the areas in ocean and large bodies of fresh water where level of dissolved oxygen is too low, so for any marine life to survive. Okay, and causes of marine pollution, again the causes would be same as it was in case of water pollution, like human activities. Natural causes, human activities means emitting all kind of unwanted material into water bodies, like oil spilling we've already seen, burning of gasoline, sewage treatment which are being dumped into the ocean, so those leads to water pollution. Natural causes, coastal upwelling, changing in water circulation pattern. So when there is drastic change in coastal upwelling means moving of cold current at the coast, moving up of the cold current at the coast, which carries all the pollutant from the coast into the water, and it causes water pollution or marine pollution. Next is effect of water pollution. So effect means the consequences, you can say. So consequences means simply it will affect the marine life, like it leads to reproductive problem of marine life. Dead zone are created, benthic biomass and biodiversity. Benthic biomass, what are benthic biomass? So the biomass or the biodiversity which are present at the bottom area of the sea or marine are called as benthic biomass, and contribution changes are also affected due to marine pollution. Ocean acidification. What is ocean acidification? So it simply means carbon dioxide. When this carbon dioxide is absorbed by seawater, there is a chemical reaction and it reduces the pH of seawater, which in turn convert the water into acid, or water is acidified. Okay, and impact would be very dangerous, as acid are very dangerous substance and it is corrosive in nature, so that all the biodiversity which is present under the marine are at the verge of, you can say, they can die easily because it corrodes the upper layer. Oil spills, we have already discussed what are oil spills. I'm not going again into it. Next is oil zapping. So oil zapping is combination of 5 bacteria. 5 bacteria are there. So what happened? These oil tankers, or you can say these, sometimes the oil spills during the on the shores. So these oil zipper, these bacteria, these feeds on the hydrocarbon compound which are present in crude oil. Crude oil are just extracted and they may be transported from one place to another place, but it contains lots of pollutant like hydrocarbon compounds. So these oil zippers, they feed on these hydrocarbon compound and convert them into harmless carbon dioxide, and hence it makes it less pollutant or less effective. Okay, next is land pollution. So land pollution is again very simple over here. Even in article 1 of UN Convention to Combat Desertification, it is defines that land degradation is a reduction of loss in arid, semi-arid and dry subhumid area of the biological or economic productivity. Okay, so the area land is generally used for agriculture, for living purpose, for making houses, for urbanization. So whenever the natural occurring elements or natural occurring things like forest, animals, whenever they are being removed from the place, or land pollution starts happening. On land pollution, what happen in agricultural land, people start using lots of fertilizer, pesticides, which decreases the fertility of the soil. For urbanization purpose, lots of trees are being cut, lots of plants are being cut, and because of this, soil holding capacity reduces and soil get transferred from one place to another place due to erosional effects. Okay, so these are the land pollution. There are several causes again. So there are causes like population, human activities, urbanization, soil erosion, contamination, salinization, sealing, overgrazing, acidification, mining. Mining also are a major cause of land pollution, as because of mining, lands are being digged and lots of chemical harmful gases are being emitted in the environment. Effect of this land mining. So sorry, effect of this, yes, land pollution. So these land mining, these leaves the soil contaminated with very dangerous chemicals. Sometimes lots of artificial things, artificial what we say, blast, yeah, the for mining sometimes lands are being blasted with some kind of explosives. Okay, and because of that it leaves harmful chemicals on the land, on the surface, and which in turn leads to land pollution. Pesticide and fertilizer, we have already seen. Trash means dumping our trash, unwanted garbage dumping. Landfills also a major reason of what land pollution. So these are just how the land pollution occurs, and there is a way how we can mitigate or reduce the land pollution, that is sustainable land management. So there are certain ways like management of overgrazing. The land should not be overgrazed so that the fertile soil cannot move from one place to another place. Irrigation should be managed like drip irrigation, it can reduce the soil erosion. Management of urban sprawl, that means fertile field near urban area need to be protected by local governments. Houses and all should not be built on those fertile lands, so that a good amount of crops can be grown or trees can be planted over there. Mining and quarrying activity should be managed properly so that lots of chemicals and all are not left over. Agriculture intensification, lots of agriculture also should not be practiced, because at the end it leaves the soil unfertile and land converts into a desert. Next kind of pollution is noise pollution. So noise pollution means increase in noise up to certain level would cause noise pollution. So World Health Organization, it has put an meter, that means 70 up to 70 decibel. These sounds are not damaging for our eyes or ears or any living organism. Whereas if we are exposed for more than 8 hours constantly to noise beyond 85 decibel is unit of sound, it can be very hazardous for us. Okay, and for example, if anyone is working in any industry which is producing noise more than 85 decibel, then that person may be infected with hearing loss or other problems. Sources of noise. So there are certain sources like industrialization, poor and urban planning, social events. We play music and loud note, that also creates sound pollution. In industries, lots of machine like compressor, generator, exhaust fan, grinding mills, these are used, which create noise pollution. Social event, we have seen transportation also, these are the exhaust. At the exhaust we have seen lots of noise comes that cause, and even the siren sound, these also causes the noise pollution. Construction activity, use certain building materials, and so that also cause noise pollution. Household code, and lots of sources are there. If we talk about the effects, the effect of noise pollution would be hypertension, hearing loss, sleep disturbances, child development, various cardiovascular dysfunction, lots of there. And effect of this noise pollution on wildlife of marine life. So in marine life, thousands of oil drills, sonar, seismic activities, survey devices, coastal recreational watercraft and shipping vessels are now polluting our water. And because of this noise pollution, all the aquatic animals or all the aquatic life are disturbed. And the most aquatic form of the most disturbed is whales are the most affected aquatic life present or aquatic organism present. Okay, so that's all for today's video, and we have all discussed about the pollution. If you have any queries regarding this, please ask in the comment box. Thank you for watching. See you in next video. Till then, goodbye.